Hello, everyone, and welcome to our discussion on technological transformation in construction. If you're just joining us for the first time, be sure to check out our previous episodes on identification and prioritization of procedural pain points in your organization. I'm joined again today by my co-host Roger and our guest Ryan Hale. Welcome back, guys.
Glad to be here,
How
Matt.
are you?
Hi, Ryan. How you doing?
Today, we're digging into how to build a team to tackle the top priority procedural pains in your organization. Ryan, could you kick us off? How do you form the right team to tackle the top priority on your technology roadmap?
Yeah, I think there's 3 or 4 key things you have to think about when you're aligning your team. First, I think it truly starts at a senior leadership level or an executive level, where someone's got to be looking and saying, okay, this is the scope of the project. This is what we're trying to accomplish with the project. What are the kind of skill sets we need, and who are the right people to lead this project? It all starts with that project leadership. And once you identify those, I think it starts with setting the right expectations for that project leadership. It's setting the expectations of how we're going to execute that project. It's setting the expectations of what we believe the outcome of that project should be. It's setting the expectations of time commitments it's going to take, of rough schedule, and it's getting that agreement up front on what we're going to try to tackle. You're not going to have all the details up front to know 100% of exactly what we're going to go execute against, but it's important to sit down with that project leadership and get them off on the right foot. I think the second thing around that team is when you're looking at that project leadership, do you have the right individual assigned from a project management or technology standpoint? And for us, also, do you have a partner in crime for them from the business? Because we've found that when you can partner someone from the IT or from the PMO side with someone from the business, the functional owner, the person that's doing the work every day or managing the people that do the work every day, now you've got some gold when you can put them together as a 1-2 punch to lead that project. And then from there, you have to leave it up to those 2 individuals to look what we're trying to solve in that project, to look at the scope, to think about the processes that we're going to impact, to think about the stakeholders we're going to impact, and let them come back to whoever the senior leadership is and say, we need these kind of resources freed up in these rough durations at these rough times to make this project successful. Because if we don't get this person or someone that's familiar with this part of the business or owns this part of the business, then this project doesn't stand a chance of us getting to the right solution and ultimately adopting the solution. So that team development is, to me, really kind of 3 or 4 key tiers that you have to work through.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. I know the answer to this question is probably going to be, it depends, but is there some magic number in terms of number of teams that are running parallel at any point in time?
Well, Roger, it depends.
Yeah, I'm sure it does.
So much of that is organizational dependent, right? It's how much change is the organization willing to drive at that given moment? How much change have they driven recently, and do they want to pile on more change? How many current initiatives or projects are they currently executing? How many resources do they have that they can staff these teams, both from the project leadership standpoint and from the team member SME standpoint? There's just not one size fits all answer here. It truly is a self-reflective exercise that organization and the leadership of that organization needs to look at and say, yes, we're willing to bite one more off, or no, we need to hold the line with what we have. Let some things come to completion. Let that change, absorption, and adoption happen before we go pluck the next one off.
Makes a lot of sense, Ryan. So thinking about the team you were describing earlier on, you'd mentioned that you've got the functional person, you've got somebody in the IT department or in the project management department that are working together. So how do you go about deciding who are the right people to be those kind of pillars or leads on that functional getting the work done team to drive one of your pain points towards completion?
Yeah, for us, we really start with the scope of the project, or the potential project that we're looking at. Because I think scope can lead you to 2 or 3 different things, right? First off, scope is going to tell you, wow, this is a really big, nasty project. I really need a seasoned project manager to lead this exercise. It's got a lot of arms and legs. It has a lot of stakeholder touch points. There's a lot of stakeholders that are going to be impacted. This project manager is going to have to work across multiple locations and multiple different levels of the organization. That is a very, very different project than, hey, I need you to go look at this process that has 3 people that touch it and I need to improve it. So the scope drives the seasoned or the decision of what is the most seasoned project manager, and can that person bite off a project of this size. But the scope also tells you what processes are going to be involved, what pieces of the organization are going to be involved, who is the ultimate customer of this project, who are the stakeholders. And that thinking through the complexity of that also helps identify, okay, who is the right leader from the business side to really be involved with this, or who are the right team members or SMEs that I'm going to need to be involved with this. So it really all kind of starts with that scope as you start to create that team. I wish there was a better answer, but I think this is a situation where it truly just depends on what potential project you're looking at and how the organization is structured.
Cool. Yeah, I like when you use the term SME. It reminds me of, wasn't that like Captain Hook's main pirate partner? Subject matter expert. Yeah. A great acronym, definitely. So if you had 3 must-dos for putting together a team, what would those be?
Yeah. So first off, you've got to start with, I would say, the word commitment, right? Because you can align the best project manager you may have. You can align the best person from the business or the function to partner with that person. You can align the best subject matter experts. But if those individuals aren't committed, they're not committed to the initiative you're trying to drive, meaning they haven't bought into it. They're not committed from what they believe that initiative is going to benefit the organization or how that's going to benefit the organization. If they're not committed from a time component, i.e. they're not going to be able to carve out 2, 4, 6, 8 hours, 10 hours, 20 hours a week to support that project or initiative, it's not going to work. So you've got to have that commitment. And the way you build that commitment is whoever's responsible for that project. And this would typically reside at an executive level or a senior leadership level. That individual has to be able to clearly articulate what we're trying to go attack, why we're trying to go attack it, what we believe the benefit is, what we believe the outcome is going to be, what we roughly believe the time frame may be. If that individual that is in that senior leadership position can't articulate that and can't set the stage for those project teams to go execute against, you're not going to get very far. I think those are the 2 most important things. I guess if I had to say a third, once you start executing on a project, the project team's going to, they're committed, they believe in what you're saying, they're ready to go work it, they're ready to go attack it. That's all good. But you can't just let that project team run. You can't just send them out into the wild and say, hey, come back to me in a month or 2 months or 3 months and tell me how you're doing. I think it takes a series of conversations that need to be put in place, not just to check status and to look at a quad chart or to look at a PowerPoint chart and says, hey, look, you're yellow, or hey, you're green. I think it's an interactive conversation that needs to happen along the journey of that project that says, hey, have you thought about this? Hey, if this is where you think this project is going, I think that's right and I agree with that. But that's also then going to intersect this other project, or it's going to have some other touch points that we need to think about. It's a dialogue between that executive leader and the project leadership and the SMEs on that team that needs to occur throughout the life cycle of this project. That may be weekly touch points. It may be monthly touch points. Heck, at times of that project and key critical spots, it may be daily. But so often, I think organizations forget to supervise the project. They look at it and they say, hey, we got it going. Hey, the team's moving, so let the team do what they want. And I think that's a mistake. I think you've got to be more engaged in the outcome of that project. And as a leader, you have to be responsible for how that project is moving and the outcomes that we expect to get from it. So engage in it.
Excellent. Thanks, Ryan, for sharing your experience on team building.